The biggest mistake I made in my business was not hiring a professional to help me with my money. Not just my taxes, but the actual plan I had for my business. I was completely lost on how to handle taxes, what to do with profit, and how to maintain my income. I had to find a better way. That's when I found Core Financial. Core Financial is a team of tax professionals that actually care about building real relationships with their clients. They run my books, keep me up to date with my finances, and make sure I'm taking full advantage of all of my tax benefits. Are you struggling with your finances? Look no further. Core Financial is a brand that is nationwide that can help you with your business. Both Nick and I are huge fans of Core, and they can help you too. Check out howtofilmweddings.com/core to schedule a consultation today. Core Financial, real relationships, no surprises.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. I am here in person again with my best good buddy, Mr. John Bunn. How does it do for you today?
Oh, what it do? How it do? It's doing well. We were just before hitting record talking about this content that we're going to put out today. And it gets me excited, of course.
Yeah.
We're into the new year now, which is great.
It is great.
We're here. Wedding season hopefully is coming soon. And we have been getting asked this kind of question since we started our podcast. We actually started our podcast on an episode number 1, with something around the topic that we're going to be discussing today. It's my favorite topic, so I'm doing really, really well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. So we're finishing up. We've been doing some batch recording. So the last few episodes have been here in Wichita, Kansas. John came up for a couple days and we just recorded a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of planned out our calendars and all that. And this was one question that was brought to us. And so we're just talking about things that we have learned since we have started booking higher end weddings and how we have gone about maybe booking some of those higher end weddings. John, whenever we started in episode 1, I think the topic was how John books $5,000 weddings or something like that. John has doubled that price now. Just a couple years later, I have gone from, when we first started, I remember booking a $2,800 wedding or so. And, just yesterday, I sent a $9,000 quote to a couple for a destination wedding and stuff. So it's just incredible how far we've come. And so we know that a lot of people have questions about how are you guys doing this and what's the secret sauce and what's going on. And so we just wanted to talk about a few things that we have learned along the way that we know are true. I don't know. I think a lot of people can be sitting there, well, I do this and it just doesn't work for me or something. Yeah. There's so much to it. Like, this isn't you do this one thing, this will happen. It's kind of like, here are the 8 things that we have done. And so do these 8 things and maybe it's not a proven formula, but we have had success doing this stuff.
Yeah. And as a disclaimer, neither of us claim to be in the high profile, high luxury markets. We're not doing celebrity weddings. We're not doing, multi-million-dollar weddings. I have done a few weddings that were in the close to $1 million range. 6-figure weddings, pretty much every wedding that I do, they're spending at least $100,000 on their wedding. Depending on the kind of wedding. But so that's where we come from. And if you're new to the channel, I started Redeemed Productions, which is now John Bunn Films. I started that in 2007, in June of 2007. So after we hit June this year, I'll be in my 15th year. It'll be the start of my 15th year doing this. So I've been doing it for a minute, I'm 36. So I was like 21 or 22 when I started. And my first wedding, I charged them $500. They ended up giving me a $250 tip, I believe so. I think I ended up making $1,000 when it was all said and done. They added some stuff. And I fell in love with the idea of weddings. I fell in love with the idea of making money for my family, as well as I just loved the moments. There was a prayer before the ceremony, and I was just like, wow, that was so impactful. And the words that they said to each other, and I just fell in love with it. And, over the last 15 almost years now, I've done a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong. And so we just wanted to talk about it. Even since we started the podcast, like Nick is saying, I've gone from, $5,000 bookings to several of my bookings this year are starting out in the $10,000 range. Several over $15,000. And, some of my video photo packages are pushing $20,000. And these are like astronomical, unbelievable numbers. But I will tell you this, I 1,000,000% before getting here saw myself in this position.
Yes.
And was willing to put in the time, the effort, and the work to get here. And it wasn't easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we want to talk about moving forward with this is one of the foundational things with this is confidence. And I can't stress that enough, that one of the reasons that John and I are able to charge the things that we are able to charge, to do the things that we are able to do. And if you talk to, other people in our industry that are charging big numbers, confidence plays a huge role in that. And I know some of you might be sitting out there thinking, well, I'm confident, but I'm only able to book a $2,000 wedding. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you can be confident in that. But again, you have to believe that you are worth that. That's kind of step one. Because if you say I'm $5,000, anytime anyone questions you, if you balk at that and say, oh, I'll do it for $3,500, like, you're not being confident in what you're saying and believing that you're worth it. So confidence is kind of step one, but it fits into all of this stuff that we are talking about. Yeah. I don't think that you're able to charge high numbers if you don't believe that you can and that you're worth it.
Yeah, there's a confidence in where you are going, and then also a self-awareness of where you are. Mm-hmm. And there's a balance of that. You can be very confident that you're worth it, but if other people aren't confident that you're worth it, if other people don't see the value, if you have not built that, then you aren't worth it. Even though maybe in our Facebook groups, people would say, yeah, you're worth more, whatever. But there is a lot that goes into getting yourself into a position to get lucky enough to get some of these weddings and taking the most advantage of those. So we wanted to just break down things we've learned along the way while getting to these high dollar weddings, know. Again, last year I hit over six figures again, with 15 weddings, and like, mind-blowing that I'm able to make a full-time salary doing just that, and watching you grow in your business and getting ever so close to those $10,000 bookings. And like, that is attainable if you do some of these things correctly. And so for the first point, I guess, would be, before I raised my prices, I remember I got hired to film a wedding at Southern Hills Country Club. I talk about it a lot on the podcast, but this is a world-renowned golf course that's right in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The U.S. Open has been played there. The PGA Championship has been played there. It's a very prestigious,
it's a big deal,
nice country club. It's $100,000 initiation fee just to become a member, and then I want to say it's like $3,000 or $4,000 a month of dues just to be a part of it. So the people who are there are obviously affluent. And I remember getting my first wedding booking there, and that wedding changed my life in my business. But like, if I could have known some of these things going into it, I would have been even further ahead. But I remember thinking, I'm not confident here. I don't know how to do a wedding that's this nice. I knew that they were spending a lot of money, and it made me uncomfortable. But over time, I got comfortable with these kinds of weddings. So before I raised my prices, I had to have a mindset shift. I had to literally change everything, like everything about the way I shot, everything about the way I edited, the way I interacted on a wedding day. Like, I couldn't just say I wanted high-end films. Like, I had to actually do things to get those high-end films.
Yeah, there's action steps. We're talking about it with our goals. A couple episodes ago, you say, I want to be a $5,000 videographer, but then you just leave it at that. Okay. If you want to charge more, you have to have action steps. John was saying the way that he shot, the way that he edited, the way that he talked to people, the way that he presented himself. We as wedding videographers, the creative side, so many people are like, you guys, my work speaks for itself. And unless you are someone like Alex and Whitney Douglas, or Rick and Sarah Pendergraph, or Matt Harris, Matt and Pace, like, there are very few people whose work speaks for itself and not much else matters. Very, very few people. That is how it is. So much of it is so much more than that. How you present yourself, how you brand. And we're going to get into that in a second. It's so much bigger than that. And so how you show up on a wedding day, what you wear matters. How you talk to people matters. How you treat the photographer, the planner, the florist, the mother of the bride matters. And I think so many times people are so concerned with getting this film that they think will boost their career that they forget that kind of stuff, the extra things that actually matter so much more. And so this leads us into our second point. So first, you kind of have to have that mindset shift and kind of move into the area. But the next thing is it's way more about your brand than it is about your work.
That one hurts.
And that one's especially as people in the creative space, that our work matters so much to us. But your branding and how you brand yourself matters so much more.
And you get some of these people, like you were talking about, sculpting with time or pen weddings or, the film poets, White and Reverie, Forestry Film. You start thinking some of these names that their work is like, that is their special sauce. It's like their work is unreal. Like what we all aspire to get to. And yes, you should learn and grow. And like Blink Films, they come to mind. Like the work is just so amazing. But if you look at every single one of those companies, their brand is their work, and their work feels like their brand, and it like all goes together. Like when I think of Catherine with Blink Films, it's like she has this like mysterious brand, this vibe that in her films are just like so like magical almost. Like there's something about them. Or White and Reverie, or you start thinking about Penn Weddings and their storytelling capabilities, or Alex and Whitney with Sculpting with Time. It's just like another level. They went to film school. They have psychology degrees and art degrees and like all these things. But like if you go to their websites, if you go to and like look and feel, like their branding, their website, the way they present their words, the way that it all feels like them, and it's all an experience. And so it's way more about that overall brand than it is about the work, especially with people that aren't necessarily the unicorns. Like my work is beautiful, my couples love it, but like I'm not getting tagged in people's posts. Who are your most inspirational wedding filmmakers? Who do you look up to the most? Like I have a lot of people message me and like they're fans of my work, but it's not like on the level of some of these people that we aspire to be. But I get tons of messages because people aspire to be where I'm at with what I'm making. That's kind of where our relationship started. And that's what I look at is like, I'm at this place where that is like part of my secret sauce is I figured out a way to like get the most money and get the most so I can serve the couples even better. So it's way more about the brand than it is about the work.
Yeah. Branding is so crucial. It's so important. And so many of us try to, if you don't have, if you're not presenting yourself in the right way, it doesn't matter. You're not going to reach those people. There are whenever you're starting to get into the high end stuff and you're working with planners that are charging, they're doing, 6-figure, well into 7-figure weddings. Like if there's anything on your website, anything on your Instagram feed that makes you look not high end, you're not getting that call. And so these people that get these weddings, these higher end weddings, they have branded themselves to be that. It's like they're a character, right? And they're presenting themselves in a certain way so that they can, be their brand and be what they're trying to portray, at least to their clients on the wedding day. And I'm not saying like lying to them. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying you're presenting yourself that this is how we are and what our business is like and how we present ourselves. And that matters so much.
Yeah, there is a John Bunn that turns like the switch turns on a wedding day where I'm on, or when I'm talking to my couples or talking to potential couples, where I'm thinking about the Four Seasons Hotel. I'm thinking about luxury experiences. I'm thinking about Louis Vuitton. I'm thinking about like all of these things. I'm not thinking about incredible pizza or Chuck E. Cheese. I'm thinking high end. What would they do whenever I walked into a luxury resort? What would I do? How would I dress? What would I like? What words would I say? How would I present that? What would their website look like? And so I realized early on, especially when starting to do some of these bigger weddings at some of these country clubs or these other clubs in town, that like I had to portray myself as a high-end character. And so in Tulsa, like the majority of my weddings happen there, and that's on purpose because that's what I want. If John Bunn is at a wedding film, and I love talking about myself in the third person, or at a wedding, if I'm at a wedding, people know that they spent a lot of money on the wedding film, and it is a status symbol. It is a big deal to have me there because if people know, like, oh my goodness, like so many times, not kidding, bridesmaids will come up to me at weddings and be like, I followed your work for so long. It is the best work I've ever seen. Your wedding films are the best in the world. I can't wait to get married so I can have you film. And they don't know who some of these other filmmakers are that we talk about. They've just seen local wedding filmmakers and they're blown away. And the branding and the way that I've positioned myself as the character of John Bunn has over time, spiraled upward in a like, oh, I did this one big wedding at this country club. And of that wedding, I've done her sister's wedding or her sister-in-law's wedding in Italy, her other sister-in-law's wedding in Mexico. I've done like 9 other people's weddings. One wedding alone, I had 7 brides, all stemming from that one wedding because it all like I was the character of John Bunn. So
yeah. So having that mindset shift, branding yourself properly and correctly. And yes, this has to do with your logo, your website, your Instagram, your Facebook, all the social media, like it all plays together. And then the other thing that we value that you need to do, we talk about it a lot, is networking and relationships that you have with other vendors, specifically probably in our industry, planners and photographers are probably going to be the biggest one. But I mean, just being great with everyone. Venue owners, that's another one. Venue people that run the venue. I know you have great relationship with DJs and florists, and you even have gotten some stuff from florists and like all that sort of stuff. So, but having those relationships with those vendors, because a vendor referral means so much more than a random Google search. And so if you have a planner that is your high-end planner in town and she says, this is the videographer in town that I want to work with, you need to hire them. If they have the budget, they're probably going to hire you.
Yep. The relationships are interesting because everyone wants the relationship with the high-end planner. Everyone wants to go in for the kill on the first conversation. And I have perfected almost the art of the schmooze in a way that's not schmoozy, but just really putting myself in their shoes and thinking, how can I serve them the best? I'm not just serving them so I can get something from them, but these planners have become my good friends because they know they can trust me. They know I'm not going to, take advantage of them. They know that I know that their clients are high end and they can have a good time with me. I was always so afraid to show any of my personality.
Yeah.
My face wasn't on my website. I didn't talk about me. And then I realized after seeing one of my good photographer friends, like, oh, he is the brand. I need to be the brand. I'm a great personality. I'm going to lean into that. I'm outgoing. I can remember people's names really well. I can, interact and talk and enjoy and have a good time with the bridesmaids alongside just kicking butt, taking really good footage. And people are just blown away. They're like, oh my gosh, you're not only the best, biggest help on the wedding day, but you were so much fun. You were like a friend. And they text me afterwards. And that is the brand that I have built. But like these relationships with planners and florists and the band and the sound people and the lighting people are all very strategic. And instead of just calling up, I've never just really called up a planner and been like, hey, I'm John Bunn and I do video and I want to be one of your preferred vendors. and I want to do high-end weddings. Like I've never done that.
Right.
But when luck presented itself, whenever an opportunity presented itself, that first wedding I had at that country club, you better believe I went above and beyond, not to be weird. There's a line there.
There is.
But I knew who the venue manager was. I made good relationship. Now I have her email address. What do you think I did? I sent her extra clips immediately after the wedding. Can I send you anything else? Can I take good care of you? Like, and then sooner or later you can go in for an ask of like, hey, if you have any couples that need video, I loved it out there. You guys were so easy to work with. And they, at that point, have a relationship with you. And if you get that flywheel turning, then, last year I did 15 weddings. I think like 8 of them or 9 of them were just referrals from, planners or previous vendors.
And one thing that we've said so much over and over again is that people like to work with people that they like to work with.
Yep.
Okay. And so I've shared this before, but I was talking with a planner in town and she said, we did this wedding and the most beautiful photos I have ever seen in my life, but the guy was so hard to work with. And he got us off on timeline. The ceremony was supposed to start in 30 minutes and he was like 20 minutes away and like wouldn't listen to me and like any of this stuff. And she was like, most beautiful images I have never seen, but we have never worked with him again because of how he was on that wedding day. And, I know John has shared stories with me and I have worked with people, people that are referring people like, why are you referring them? Like the stuff that you're doing and this person, like this video guy doesn't go with this wedding, or these photos are a total clash with this backdrop. Like it just doesn't work, but it's because of the relationship that they have built. And again, people like to work with the people that they like to work with. Okay. And so those relationships matter so much. If you're in there in a lone wolf and you don't talk to anybody and you're grumpy or you don't make yourself known, like you're not going to easily raise your prices and get into a bigger market and become a bigger fish in your pond of your town because you're having a hard time with the relationships.
The brides and grooms that are hiring the higher end planners, especially in my city, they want a little bit of involvement. Like they want to get to know who I am. They definitely want involvement. But the ones that I do that pay the very most, they're hiring the planner because they trust their expertise. They've all of their friends. That's like there's one main planner that does all of the 6-figure plus 7-figure plus Oklahoma City weddings, and she's good friends with all of the high end, the oil company owners and the owners of basketball teams and sports teams. And they're just all it's all intertwined. And this wedding planner is connected to them all. And she just says, you're going to hire this vendor for flowers because I know that you like this. You're going to hire this, these are the couple photographers I recommend. And every now and then I worked my way in because one or two of her brides, she didn't refer me, but those brides already knew who I was, and I got to work with her based on that. She still refers some of the older school people a lot for video, but I'm on her list at least to be a referral. And so a couple times a year, I'll get to do work with her, and I always go over and above. I've built an extra package just for her, just because I know what she wants. I'm trying my best to work my way in there. But she's worked with some of these videographers for 20 years and they're still shooting like it was 20 years ago. But she's sending them 10 or 11 weddings a year that pay $10,000. And, using that little bit of luck, saying, "Ooh, I got a wedding with this planner," and then going above and beyond as much as I can, sometimes that works out in my favor.
Yes. So as we're continuing to talk about raising our prices and what our experience has been and some things that we have learned, we have three more little items here on the list that we want to touch on. But before we get to those, John, we need to go on a small break.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. What would you take on if you had an extra set of hands? What would you do with your free time if you didn't have to edit? So many of us get bogged down in the post-production hustle that we never seem time to focus on our business. John and I both felt that way. until we found Wedditor. Wedditor is a post-production team of top wedding film editors and project managers that give your films and brand the extra eyes, ears, and hands that they need. Not only is Wedditor delivering films we love to our couples faster, but we can invest ourselves fully in other areas of our business knowing that Wedditor has our back. Be the first to know how your second shooters are doing, how those new LUTs work with your footage, and relax knowing your couples are getting the full attention they deserve on every single project. So what could you do with an extra hand? Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor, whether you're ready to start now or preparing for next season. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. If you're interested in this service, make sure you head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor soon. Fall 2020 spots are lined up and filling up fast. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
Finding the perfect song for your wedding film can be so frustrating. We spend countless hours searching for the perfect song. When it comes to licensing music, Nick and I both love MusicBed. Not only do they have the best music, but their website makes it so easy to find the perfect song and to find it fast. We have both been using the MusicBed's wedding subscription for years and cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they adding new music from incredible musicians like Chapters, The Light, The Heat, and Tony Anderson all the time, they've made it incredibly easy to search their library for mood, genre, instrumentation, and even key. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed and use promo code HTFW for a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription. howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at Wedflow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. Wedflow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, Wedflow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples, accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedflow to check out Wedflow today. All right, we are back from break and we are talking all about what we've learned as we've started to charge more and more and have worked with higher end weddings. We've talked about, our mindset being shifted. We've talked about it being way more than just, your films. It's about the brand and also your relationships. And we want to move into the next segment. And I would love to start this out by our question of the day presented by Wedditor. Nick, you have gone from $2,500 weddings, $2,800 weddings to nearly $10,000 weddings in the last 3 years since I've known you. What would you attribute, in your scenario to the things that you've done that, like, if you had to pinpoint it down to things you've done to see that success, what would you say is that?
So a few things that I attribute that to. The first off has been investing in myself, my wife and I, investing in our business. I've talked about this before on the podcast several times with doing mentorships. Sarah from Ped Weddings, David with Forestry Films, just getting to know John and this relationship that we've built has drastically propelled me in my business. So investing in myself. And then as I started investing in myself and these people were talking to me and telling me that my work was good enough. We've shared this story before, but I remember John telling me, hey, I'm getting paid $8,000 for this wedding. And if my films look like yours, I could charge 11, and I was just like, it drove me crazy, but because I had a confidence problem, the imposter syndrome that so many people talk about, something like that. And so I became more confident because I had people in my corner telling me, you're good, you can do this, you should charge this. Then whenever we went to the very first venture workshop, a couple of the things that we took away, one were the same day edits where, and it's not I've talked about it before as episode 8 of our podcast really early on, but it's not a massive, 3-minute, 5-minute film. with audio, when it's like perfected and everything. What it is just about a minute long of clips from the wedding day that we put together, and then we show it to the couple at the reception. Jen does a little bit of color correction on it, but we don't do any audio, anything. It's just kind of pretty shots, blowing the couples away. And that, I believe, it put us on the map. We were the only one in our area that were doing that. We might even still be the only ones in our area locally that are doing that sort of thing. So we want to blow, our couples away about that. And then another thing that we picked up were from Jay Worsley, whenever back when he did weddings, he was doing FOMO edits, doc edits, kind of whatever. And he kind of split it up where you have the getting ready portion of the day and then the reception portion of the day. So, these range anywhere from, 10 to 25 minutes. He kind of cut off the bad stuff and depending on everything that's going on. And so for a solid year, we did same day edits for everyone, and everyone got these doc edits as just a way to go above and beyond. And we spent a considerable amount of time, if the wedding was next level and we really enjoyed working with the photographer or the planner or the florist, we would make little clips and we would give it to them. And so going above and beyond, I think it fast tracked us to start doing this. And then after we had done, all those, keepsake edits is what we call them, the doc edits, and, done all of this stuff, then after we've been doing that for about 6 months, then as we're starting to get inquiries for the next year, now I am able to add $1,000 to my price, or, here's our keepsake edits if you want to see what that is. And then it's a $1,200 price tag for us to do that, those sort of things. And that really fast tracked us. But I can't stress blowing people away, being great to work with was huge. The investing in myself and the confidence, those two things, I think, if I could tier them, I would kind of lump those together. Investing in myself and confidence is number one. And then kind of going above and beyond was number two.
And if you're newer, building confidence just takes time. It takes time not just to be like, oh, I'm arrogant. I have an air about myself that I'm a confident person. But being confident on the wedding day. No, I don't want to shoot right here. I want to shoot here. No, I don't want. And people seeing that you're actually an expert. No, you should not do a sunset ceremony if you're not doing a first look. This is why. You're building this confidence. And what I saw from afar with you had the work. The work was there. Your quality of work was insanely good. And you gave them something with these same day edits or going above and beyond. You gave them something to wow them, even though the work was wow factor. But that same day edit wowed the vendors too.
Definitely.
And that got so many. I would watch and you'd post a video and thousands of views the next day and just so many comments and likes, and people, and all of those bridesmaids and groomsmen and all that, people will follow you based on that. And that just gets that flywheel turning. And is it was it the first time you did a same day edit that did it? Or was it the 100th same day edit? Whatever. But you gave them something to talk about and to remember you by. My first 6 or 7 years, I think, of shooting weddings, my goal was them to not know I was there. I just wanted to be on the wall, out of the way. I was afraid. I wasn't confident. People wouldn't remember who did the video. My name wasn't on anything. I would say, hi, I'm John. I just wanted to be out of the way.
Yeah.
The only reason people would remember me is because we were wearing jeans and custom Redeemed Productions t-shirts that I had screen printed. That was me at a wedding. It was awful, awful, awful. But what you did and what I watched you do is you took slow steps, you did the work, you put in the effort, and then you started taking advantage of opportunities that were presented to you. You might have taken a destination wedding that they didn't pay you as much as you wanted to, but you blew that couple away. And then now you have more work that shows them, oh, wow, this guy goes to Big Sur. Oh, this guy goes to California several times, or Joshua Tree, or wherever you're going, Idaho or South Africa or wherever it is. And it's these opportunities stack on top of themselves if you're always thinking about the brand, always thinking about what you're putting out there and how you word it and how your Instagram feed feels, and only showing what you want to shoot, and slowly building this narrative of holy crap, Nick and Jen are the best in Wichita. They're the best in Kansas. They're the best in the Southwest. They're the best or whatever it is. And you start, at that point building to this place where it's like, yeah, I'm only going to take 15 weddings. So now you've got this scarcity factor where it's like, oh, I've been following Nick and Jen since 2015 and I've always wanted them to do my wedding. And I don't care what the budget is. I'm hiring them. I've got this social proof, seeing all of my friends have used them. Like there's all of these things that add up over time. And I hear it so many times of people being like, I've been doing this for 3 years and I'm only charging $4,000. Like what gives? And I'm like, I think I was on my 9th year before I charged $4,000 or, and so you think about all these things you've been doing. You've been building these relationships like what we talked about with the vendors. You have good friends. I see you at a lot of the same venues. I see the same photographers at a lot of your weddings, and like people like working with who they like working with. And so great point there. Just investing in yourself, building that confidence, not just cockiness.
Yes.
There's a difference between, oh, I'm just a good big deal, and no, I'm just confident that I'm the best person for you, or I'm confident that I'm not. But that goes a long, long way. I talked a lot.
You sure did. The next thing,
but it was really good.
It was
give
really,
this
really
video
good.
on the YouTubes that like right now. You know how the guys all say like smash that like button. Boom! Smash it.
Oh my word.
Okay, sorry,
Oh,
but we're gonna get a lot of likes on the YouTubes right now. Like dozens.
Right
Okay,
there.
Sorry, back to you.
Half a dozen, maybe. Anyway, so I talked about investing in myself and that confidence, but always be learning. Like I can't. This is number 5. Okay, so we've talked about having that I cannot say mindset shift. Focusing on your brand. It's more than your work, building those relationships, investing in yourself, the confidence, going above and beyond. But again, always be learning and pushing. Okay. One of the things that I think a lot of people, the problem I guess that I see with people in your market that maybe 5 years ago, they were the big deal in town. And they're like, whatever happened to so-and-so? Well, they're still shooting stuff. Like, what happened to them? Well, it's because they got to the top of their market and then they got lazy because they were at the top. Okay. And that is one thing that Jen and I, we had that conversation earlier this year. She was like, I think that we need to redo something because our films are, I think, starting to look the same and not doing the things that we're promising and all, this sort of thing. So you need to always be pushing. You should never be complacent in where you are. The minute that you stop growing, the minute that you stop stretching is the minute that you stand still. And so you're starting to fall behind. There are in the last few years, I can't tell you how many new wedding videographers have popped up in Wichita and they are good. Like, it's not just like, they're good. Okay. And so I want to be the person that sets the bar in town. Like, that's what I want. And so I want to push, and I want to do that to elevate the industry. Okay. I want to say this is what it can be in our town, so that, like, set an example for people that are coming up. But that minute that you start freaking out about people that are cheaper than you or people that are newer than you or whatever, and you kind of get complacent and you start freaking out, like, you're no longer going to be in business. And so that one is huge. The learning how, and maybe your edits are solid and you're like, we have a timeless style of edit, and that's fine. But how you're running your business, how are you treating people? What's your relationship? Like, all of these kind of things, it all goes together. So you might just need to kind of look in the mirror and figure out what that is, but you need to keep pushing and stretching and doing things different so that you can stay on top and where you are.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot now that this is my 14th year doing this. When I first started, HD was the new big thing. Like, that's how long I've been doing this. No joke. Like, I started filming weddings on mini DV tapes. For most of you that listen to this, were probably like in junior high school. This was 2007.
What's a DV tape?
Yeah, I know. Digital video tape, I believe so. I honestly don't know. But
that's probably right.
A lot has changed, obviously. But, that was the big deal, was like HD wedding videography. And it was all about like this company brand vibe. And that's just what people did. And wedding videographers, brought clunky gear, big lights right at your face, did motion graphics, animations of champagne glasses twirling or rose petals falling. It was like The Bachelor, but way worse. Like it was.
Is that possible?
Yeah. Like it was bad. But like I remember starting and just being like, I can make stuff better than this. Like I can do this. Like, and I started watching people, I found still motion a few years in. I found at my church, they were just killing it with video production. And so in 2009, like I just took one of the main video guys at the church to coffee and was like, what are you shooting on? He's like, these are DSLRs. I'm like, wow. Like how are you getting this good audio? He's like, oh, we put lapel microphones and this is the kind of gear and I just was like, I had to learn. I had to know. And then I went to other business owners and was like, just always wanting to know, like, how are you making more money? How are you serving? How are you? And I realized quickly that like, you don't make good money by being a sleazeball. And it doesn't happen overnight. And so I was learning about that. And for like 4 straight years, every day I got up at 5 a.m. and went to the local Starbucks, took a new book and just read a book and read. And I'd stay there from 5 to 8 o'clock. This was before my 10-year-old now was even alive. Like I would just be like, babe, I'm gone. I'm going to learn. I'm ordering, books. And it was before Amazon. So you'd order them online. They would show up months later, or you'd go to Barnes and Noble and like go into a store. But the point being is I was addicted to learning, like still motion, everything they put out. I just had to know it. And there wasn't education like there is now.
Right.
And so I kept pushing forward, and I started to see some of these companies that were big deals in 2007 that were so intimidating. I saw them start to close their doors. I saw them like start to kind of fade out. And the ones that, like, I remember Penn Weddings is in my city. And like a year and a half into doing weddings, I saw them at a bridal show, and their work has always been unreal, like so good. And it was just like, I want to learn how they do. I want to figure out what they're doing. And like having them in my market, like you said this and it made me think of it, but like having them in my market has been so helpful for me to continue to grow. And without them in my market, I probably would have been the top dog pretty quickly and would have kind of settled maybe. And I could have had that same story. And we've become good friends, and like, it's different. Like their films are world class, and like, I can't compete with how they do what they do, because it's such a special and unique thing. But you being in Wichita and saying, we're going to keep pushing, we're going to keep growing, that makes room for the next generation of people to come up. And what that does for you, and a lot of people are so afraid of this because they don't have confidence in their work. What that does is that pushes the price up for you, because planners are seeing, little Johnny who's 19 years old, who bought a DSLR, who's got pretty solid films. And if you aren't charging enough, he can't charge enough. And if he's charging $3,500 or $4,000, well, Nick can charge $6,000 or $7,000 real easy, because he's got the confidence in those relationships. And so it all, I don't know how many thousands of times I've said this on the podcast, but it all works together, and it's not just one little ingredient.
Right. So the mind shift, the brand, your relationships, investing in yourself, the confidence, going above and beyond, and then always be pushing, never settling for where you are. And then the last thing is number 6. And there's kind of three points in this. And we'll talk about, it takes time, it takes strategy. It takes time, it takes strategery, and luck. Time, strategy, and luck. Each year, and this is the timing thing. We have said this before, how consistency compounds. Every year, you want to continue to be consistent with your stuff. And if you are consistent with your work, if you consistently show up and you're professional, you're fun to be around, you're someone that people like to work with, if you do that long enough, people will remember you and refer you. Okay? If you're always great to work with, they will refer you. All it takes is that one time when you're awful and you're done with people. Okay. So showing up, it takes time, year after year, wedding after wedding, time after time, showing off your work. And it's just a time factor. Okay. And I think that this one is one that a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, they don't like to hear because they've only been doing it for a season or two. Okay. I didn't start making as much money per wedding as I did until year 7, guys. Year 7. John, you were in what, 9, 10?
9 or 10, yeah.
Yeah, before you started making like 5,000 plus per wedding. Okay. Like it happened a couple of times, but not regularly like it does now. It just takes time. The other thing, we want to talk about strategy. And I love how whenever you got that wedding at that country club and you were like, I'm giving them everything. Like this is my first time to shoot here. I want to get on their list. So I'm going above and beyond, and I'm going to do everything. I'm going to shoot this, like forward thinking. That's another problem that I see a lot of people don't have, is that forward thinking. And okay, if I shoot this year and I do it well, like this could be my venue that I'm shooting at a majority of the time next year. So I need to knock their socks off. I need to make this amazing. Be forward thinking. Even if you're charging $1,500, shoot it like you would charge $4,000. Okay. And then whenever you put out their film and someone says, well, what does this cost? You say, this was my $4,000 work, and go from there. Okay. So it takes time. It takes strategy. I'm going to just keep talking.
Go for it. I'm enjoying it. I've got thoughts, but they're in the back of my head.
I know. You'll share your thoughts. And then the last thing, luck. Luck. Like seriously, luck.
Yeah.
Like I can't, there are people that I have talked to where a situation it was the right place, the right time. I'm actually an example of this. Okay. My very first paid wedding was an $80,000 wedding. My very first paid one. I worked with the premier planner in town on my very first paid wedding. Why? Well, my wife, who was a photographer at the time, Jen, she had this couple and she was like, Nick, I know you wanted to get in video. I think they'd be great. So I offered my services for free. I did this save the date video. And this girl happened to go to the same church as the planner. They were friends on Facebook, and she saw it and she contacted me and said, how much would you charge to do this? Whatever. And I was like, $1,200, I think, And I ended up getting $1,500. Like, this is how wealthy the people were. Like the planner was like, hey, you owe him a check. And he's like, how much? She said, 15. And she comes back with 1,500 instead of 12. And I was like, I was only 1,200. She was like, it's a tip.
Yeah.
So definitely luck, right place, right time. We talk a lot about YouTube and posting to YouTube, and you never know what can happen. I have a video right now sitting with almost 3 million views. Luck is kind of a big part of that. I mean, yes, it's good content, but having a video catch on and go viral, like that's luck. Like sometimes you just catch a break.
I love it all. On the luck side of things, it seems as though overnight success and lucky people are the ones that have put in a ton of work. So when luck presents itself, that they can take advantage of it. And there have been several times in my business where I was presented a lucky situation and I didn't even know it was a lucky situation because I wasn't prepared. I was thinking as you were talking, there's a makeup artist in town. Her name's Hannah. And I came across her like 2-3 years ago now. I can't even tell you. But the first time I interacted with her, she was the makeup person at a wedding that I was filming. And she and I started chatting a little bit. Like, she was really personable. She was really easy to talk to. She immediately was like, is this a good spot for you guys for video? Do you want me to move? Like, how can I help? Like, she was very put together, very professional. She was cool looking. Like, she had a good vibe. And I was just like, she left a good impression. That was it. That was the first time I saw her. And then I did another wedding a few months later, and I was like, where do I know her from? And it was like, oh, I did that wedding over at that venue. That's what it was. And she's like, hey, John, how's it going? I'm Hannah, remember? And I was like, oh, yeah. And like, she would ask or tag me in certain behind the scenes things, and I would see her name again. And one time I went over to her Instagram page, and it was like, oh, wow, these are like really good images. She has like a really cool vibe. It wasn't too like makeup artsy for me or what, it was like, this is good. I keep seeing her at a couple of these weddings. And it was like every time it would just be like 3 or 4 months in between, just enough for me to be like, who is that? And then over the last year, I've done like 5 or 6 weddings with her. And up until 2 weddings ago, I finally was like, oh, that's Hannah. That's who that is. Because you only see them for a little bit. We're wearing masks and stuff. But like her website was great. She was professional. She had a great Instagram feed. She kept promoting different styled shoots that she was doing. I followed her on the gram. She would message me on different things like, what a great wedding. Like she just stayed in touch. And like now where I'm at with her, I just asked her the other day if she'd be interested in doing a styled shoot with me. And like she was the behind the scenes wedding that I did last year. She was the makeup artist for that. And we've just become buds. And I'm like, man, we should totally work with each other more. And she's like, I'd love that. And she's just a great presence and so the next time somebody asks me if I know anybody that does makeup, I'm going to mention Hannah. And that is the same thing that I've done with vendors. You just slowly, like every opportunity you get, you make a good impression. You don't come on too strong. If the first time I met her, she was like, hi, I'm Hannah. I'm with this company. Could you please refer me? I'd have been like, that's weird. But like she slowly, it wasn't a strategy. She's just a cool person. And like you start looking through these things, she's built a relationship with me now. She figured out her brand. She has obviously had a mindset shift that she's one of the best in town. And I've just figured out she's only been in town a few years, but in a few years' time, she is now getting referred by one of the most expensive videographers in this portion of the country for makeup for weddings. And the weddings I do are going to be big paying gigs for her. And that is the story exactly of what you should be thinking about when it comes to your brand. See, I talk a lot too.
Yeah. That was really good. We want this to be encouraging, but one thing that if you talk to her and talk kind of in, 2018 into 19, whenever we, were able to basically double our prices in just a year. And, we've been able to make so much more money and that kind of stuff. Like we worked hard. I mean, we were doing like the same day edits, like we were going, and that's on the wedding, we're going above and beyond on the wedding day. We were working hard. We made it a goal. And this was me doing all the editing. We were like 6 weeks, we're getting them back. And there were a few that, we kind of took longer, but for the most part, it was very quick and like working hard. And so that's also another thing that,
that's huge.
That will separate you from other people. Like if there's someone in town and like you just seeing time and time, it took them 3 months to get 4 months, 5 months to get the stuff back, but you're consistently getting stuff back in, let's say 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. Man, that hard work will pay off because people, they get their videos back a lot faster. Okay. And people will talk, and it might be one of those things that takes time, right? Like the people that you have booked out for the next year, they're going to just continue to refer you. But in the future, right? If you do the hard work, you will succeed in I shouldn't say you will succeed because there's people that work very, very hard that are not quote unquote successful. But if you work really hard and you position yourself and you do these things that we have talked about, you will really put yourself in a spot where you can be very successful in your business and your life.
I see a lot of wedding filmmakers that are at the top. I think about Kalen with White and Reverie, and the dude just works hard. Like on a wedding film, he goes the extra mile and spends an extra week on color grading, and those things add up. Like you and Jen did put in like the hard work when it came to your film. I put in the hard work like over years and years of time. And like with How to Film Weddings, there have been times where people are like, well, you guys just kind of got lucky. You interviewed a lot of the wedding celebrities. That's why you have a big podcast. That's why you're successful. And they don't know the work. Like I've watched you and I know you've watched me, and it's like you work your butt off for this podcast. And like, that's what we do. And we work and then we're presented an opportunity. Oh, we can host a podcast at Venture, or, we can speak at WPPI, or, oh, we can get a sponsor, or oh, we can put out a course, and it's like we take advantage of as many of these opportunities as possible in these relationships we've built. And that is the main key about running a successful business. And if you're wanting to raise your prices, if you apply these strategies alongside the goals we've talked about and writing out your goals every day, and like I see all these up and comers. I'm thinking about Emma K Films. We've done 2 mentor sessions with her, and like the girl just works. She's putting in the work. She's putting in the work on Instagram Reels, her branding. Every time she's done a mentor session with us, she has changed a ton of stuff. Like she had us look at her YouTube channel. The next week, you could tell she had spent hours getting it redone. Her website, she's just focused. She's working hard. And she's by far going to be successful. Like there's no doubt that she's not. It may come in 2 or 3 more years when she's making bank, or it might be 5 or 6. But if she doesn't quit, she's going to win in her business.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want you to know that it's possible. Okay, this is possible. But again, John and I we've been doing this for a while.
We're old.
We're old. I'm older than him.
Always
older than him. And so like it's definitely possible. You put in the work, it can be done, but hard work and just saying, yes, I'm going to grind. Yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, I'm going to commit to this. Whenever Jen and I decided to do at the time was something crazy with those same day edits and giving all that, like we said, we're going to do this all of 2018. Are you okay with that? We're like, yeah, we're going to do it. And every single wedding of that year, I think except for one, and that had to just do some weird time stuff, but we've done it. I think since 2018, we've only missed like 3 same day edits, and it just had to do that we weren't there long enough. Like weird things so it's a commitment that we have made that we have excelled in our business, and we've been working really hard at it. So put in the work. Have that mindset. Every time I try to say that, I can't do it. Having that right mindset shift to saying, hey, I am worth this. I'm going to put in the work. Having your brand be on point, whatever that means for you and your business. If you're portraying your business how you want it to be portrayed, building those relationships, investing in yourself, don't settle. Keep pushing. And then just time and time after again, continue to do it, be strategy, and hopefully pray, ask for a break and maybe something lucky. But if you put in this work, you're ready there to do it. Like we were talking yesterday, so we are filming a South Africa wedding. I have a passport, but it needs to be renewed. And I was talking about this with John yesterday, and he was like, man, you just need to go do that like tomorrow. Like go renew it tomorrow, because what happens when you get this awesome break where it's like, hey, we're getting married this weekend in Italy. We want you to come. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't have a passport.
I'll take that one from you since I have my passport ready.
Right. But and literally this morning, I got an inquiry for another South Africa wedding. And I'm like, it's in a couple of months. I don't know if I will be able to get my passport back in time. I'm not ready for that. And so just being prepared and be mentally ready and thinking about something, okay, this is where I want to, and Jen and I want to go. We want to do 10 weddings all over the world in really cool locations. And that's it. But today we're not prepared to do that. So we need to be prepared today for where we want to be in a couple years. That's kind of the whole mindset shift.
Expectancy.
Where, if you want it to happen, be ready for it like it is going to happen, and then just work hard and hope that it does.
And in closing, I feel like this is almost like a sermon, which is good.
I mean, I used to be a preacher.
Yeah. I saw a picture of a girl at there was this big drought. I don't know if you've seen this photo, but there was this big drought, and they were going to go do a rain dance and a big prayer. And this little girl, they took a photo of her, and she came with an umbrella. She was expectant. It hadn't rained in a long time, but here's this girl, this little kid. It's like, well, we're about to make it rain. I'm bringing an umbrella. I'm getting ready. I'm getting prepared. If it doesn't rain, I still got my umbrella. I'm prepared. And so you can do these things and get yourself prepared for when those opportunities arise. So I feel like, if there is an episode that is just one you want to earmark and come back to and listen to, I think we brought the fire, my friend. I don't want to pat myself on the back.
I feel like this was a really solid episode. I thank you for putting it all together. John spends a lot of time like kind of bullet pointing and writing out, and he did a lot of work putting that in. This is our 8th episode that we have recorded today of our podcast and stuff. So his brain is really fried. So I really thank you for that. Anyways, I appreciate this time that we've gotten to spend together. Thank you guys so much for listening. We want you to head over to our Instagram account. Be sure to follow us there at How to Film Weddings. Send us a DM, talk to us. We'd love to connect with you over there. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, we will see ya.
See ya.